The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop in store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list, from football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands. The most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. There is still time to go to Academy Sports and Outdoors near you and get the Christmas gifts that you need at the last minute. Look, I am a last minute Christmas shopper. I'm going to do a lot of my Christmas shopping when everybody else is doing it. If you're a guy, you know that's the case. I'm sure Mick still has some Christmas shopping to do. We're men. It's what we do. So go to Academy Sports and Outdoors, get some gifts. Your wife probably wants a football jersey for Christmas. I know that's a hot commodity for wives. Go to Academy Sports and Outdoors. They'll get her set up with all that stuff. You want to buy a deer stand for yourself? Academy Sports and Outdoors. You know the drill. All right, Mick. That's Mick Walker. I'm Spencer Holbrook. We know, you guys all know the drill here. We've been doing this for months. Mick, you in the Christmas spirit yet?
I am. I do think I have a majority of my Christmas shopping done. Maybe a little stocking stuffer type action, but maybe I will go to Academy Sports and Outdoors to get that done. Got a nephew that I got to probably get a gift for as well. Going to see him on Saturday. Maybe I'll stop by Academy Sports and Outdoors on our way out to Dayton, the one in Springfield location there, and pick something up.
You know that the Academy Sports and Outdoors, I guarantee, has one of those just insane walls of tumblers.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can justify going in there and looking at whatever you need, and then your wife can go look at all the tumblers and dream of spending $9,000 on a cup. It is what it is, man. So go get the gifts you need at Academy Sports and Outdoors. I am fully in the Christmas spirit, Mick. To be honest, I'm a little surprised that I'm not wearing my Santa hat that I keep in stock in my home, and then every Christmas dust that bad boy off and get in the Christmas spirit that way. Wear the Santa hat around. I know the Santa hat looks good with a big white beard. I'm not sure what it looks like with a cheesy mustache. We'll have to test that out this weekend at the family holiday party, see how it works out. Enough messing around, lollygagging for the show. The Buckeyes are fully back at practice. They're prepping for an unknown opponent, and that's why we're here. We're going to break down the college football playoff games. We did a little bit on Monday. We gave some early leanings, things like that, but we're going to do some full picks here in just a minute. Mick, what's the vibe you're getting ahead of this first round playoff matchup? Not just the Texas A&M Miami game that we really care about, but all of them. I have some thoughts on what's going on. Is there any thoughts that's rattling in your head that you got to get off for the people?
Not a ton. We got, like you mentioned, you got Alabama, Oklahoma on Friday night. You got Texas A&M, Miami here on Saturday afternoon, and then if you got to get some more last minute Christmas shopping at Academy Sports and Outdoors, or if you want to go to another partner, Dollar Shave Club, or wherever you want to go to get your gifts on Saturday afternoon, you'll probably have some availability, because I don't know if these two afternoon games are going to be all that entertaining or great.
Yeah, if you need to go do like a holiday date, make that reservation for Saturday evening. Nobody needs to really be locked in my opinion, for James Madison and Oregon. I think the scheduling gods did us a favor there, from the worldwide leader in sports, pawning those two games off to TNT. And even if it was Duke at Oregon, if the playoff would have went a different way, I firmly believe that would be a blowout regardless. And then the Ole Miss Tulane game, I think, is going to be cinema. I think it's going to be awesome. But I understand why people might not think that. I've been predicting a close game all week. And so I get it. And if you have holiday stuff to do, I have a holiday Christmas or a Christmas party with the in-laws on Saturday evening. I will still be watching on my phone, but it's not one of those things where I'm going to pop some popcorn, throw something in the slow cooker, and make sure that I'm locked in for 4 hours to make sure that I'm watching James Madison, Oregon, like a hawk, or like a duck for that matter. I'm going to end up spending some time with my family, because I think that is, the right thing to do. Also, Ohio State plays North Carolina in basketball at 8 p.m. on Saturday. Why that game is at 8 p.m. the Saturday? Is it 3 p.m.? Why that game is the Saturday afternoon before Christmas? I don't know. College basketball scheduling is the stupidest thing on earth, and they need to nuke it and try something else. But whatever, man. You got two marquee basketball jerseys going head to head, and you're putting it up against the college football playoff and the Saturday before Christmas. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. Throw it away. Try again some other time. That's my opinion. But it is what it is.
I think that I do like a little early season college basketball, but I mean, the discussion at that point would just be getting the TV networks. I don't think anybody wants to hear us talk about the merits of CBS or ESPN or who needs inventory for what. I think they'd just rather hear us talk ball, maybe talk some picks.
Maybe one person wants to hear us yell about Big Noon Kickoff and rank the TV networks and then talk about college basketball scheduling and broadcasting. Based on the things that I see from readership on who reads the stories about the actual basketball games, I have doubts on whether people care about the broadcasting of said games, but whatever. This is a college football show, Mick, and I want to start. Let's just go get through, because we're not even going to talk about the gambling merits of it. Let's get through Oregon, James Madison. Does James Madison have any chance?
I don't think so. I'm just being honest. I'm as the recruiting guy, I see how Oregon recruits. I understand that there's the idea of what Indiana's done, and they've done it with lesser talent, like a lesser talented team. They still have a lot of talent on that team, but there's also the idea of that blue chips and keeping top prospects and kind of having the larger talent, the bigger bodies typically wins, and Oregon's going to have an advantage on not only the size but also the talent component of it all. So I'm not really giving James Madison a shot. It'll be cool to see them on a field. Like, credit to them for earning their spot in, I guess. But still, I don't think they have a shot to upset the Ducks in Eugene.
Yeah, here's the deal that I think. If this game is close, we will officially enter the territory of Dan Lanning has trouble getting his team ready for the playoff. Because last year, they got absolutely punked by Ohio State. It was 34-0 at one point in that game, like midway through the second quarter. That game was not even close. I had a flight to Dallas for the Cotton Bowl semifinal booked when it was 24-0 because it was so apparent that Oregon was not going to be competitive in that game. If Oregon at home, not at night, because remember that's a West Coast 4:30, at home, when it will end up being at night by the end of the game, with that home crowd, if they no-show in this game and win by 14, I'm going to have serious questions about Dan Lanning. Like, serious questions. What are you doing for 3 weeks between games, my friend? So I don't expect that to be the case. The other three games are all far more intriguing for me. Miss me with the talk about Ole Miss Tulane not being interesting. That game's going to be a lot of fun. I'm convinced of it, and that's why we're going to break it down here, and that's why we always go to our friends over at BetMGM for our college football picks. As you guys know, we've partnered with BetMGM all season. Now they're giving you an odds boost token, not odds boost token, odds boost token to score a bigger payout on the college football playoff. If you go to BetMGM, make sure you click the little button to opt in. Then you can get that odds boost token for the college football playoff. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, available in the U.S. There's plenty of numbers for your different states. Please gamble responsibly. See BetMGM for terms, subject to eligibility requirements in partnership with the Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. This promotional offer is not available in Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico, but go get your BetMGM college football odds boost token to score a bigger payout over with our friends at BetMGM. Mick, we're going to get into A&M Miami at the end, even though that's the noon game on Saturday. Let's talk about Tulane Ole Miss. Ole Miss is currently at BetMGM a 17.5-point favorite. The total set at 57.5. What do you think about this game? Do you think Tulane can give Ole Miss a scare? And this game truly, Mick, does have some Ohio State implications because it's on the Ohio State side of the bracket. So the winner of this game plays Georgia. If Tulane upsets Ole Miss and then Georgia kicks the crap out of Tulane, that means Georgia's probably going to be well rested to play Ohio State if Ohio State makes it through. So, there are some implications here, which is why we're talking about it. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I'm on your side. I think we maybe mentioned it on Monday. I think there's a chance Tulane can kind of keep this more competitive than obviously what we talked about with James Madison, but just more than people think because I still believe in John Summerall. They're Tulane, even though he's kind of been double duty with the Florida job, Tulane promoted within. Their next head coach is calling plays. He's the offensive coordinator on Saturday, so there's the continuity of that all. And I understand, for all the things Lane Kiffin is or may not be, whether he's off the field, the personality-wise stuff, he's still a darn good football coach. And I think you and I both have some questions on whether or not Pete Golding's just going to step in and be on a same tier or same level as him as a head coach. because I don't personally think he will be. So when you get to that, you consider the staff that Tulane has as well. I think there's a chance this one gets a little bit more closer in Oxford than people think.
Yeah, I mean, John Summerall is also very distracted by trying to begin to recruit Florida players to stick around at Florida while also getting his guys ready for the college football playoff. But man, like the Trinidad Chambliss interview this week where he was talking about what his plans are for the future before this college football playoff game, when the players are talking like that, I don't think you've got full attention on the task at hand. And, Lane shipped half of his new LSU offensive staff back to Ole Miss to try to win him his bonus for winning a college football playoff game before they go off to LSU. I think it's going to be a turbocharged and very anxious crowd in Oxford, almost akin to like the 2024 Ohio State-Michigan crowd, where Ohio State fans were just looking for reasons to be negative rather than looking for a way to cheer on the Buckeyes to win, which I fully understand why. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that in a pejorative, but like, I think that game's going to get really weird. And do I think Tulane is going to win? No, because they haven't stopped a nosebleed all season, let alone a good running back. And Kewan Lacey is the best running back in the college football playoff field, in my opinion. I think Ole Miss is going to find a lot of success on the ground. But if you told me that like Trinidad Chambliss in this passing game kind of look out of sorts, and you told me that the defense just wasn't nearly as locked in as they're supposed to be, I would absolutely believe you. So I think Ole Miss is going to win this game. I think Tulane is going to more than cover. I think it's going to end up being a 14-point game because they're going to score a late touchdown. But I think it's going to be 38-24. I think Tulane is going to put a serious scare into Ole Miss.
I like that pick a lot. I like that pick a lot from you, Spencer.
All right, let's get into Friday night's game, my favorite game of the entire tournament. I don't know why. I love rock fights. I love anxiety, which is why the Oklahoma fans are going to question Brent Venables even after leading them to the playoff if they lose. And Alabama fans are going to want Kalen DeBoer on the next flight to Ann Arbor if they lose. And Michigan fans might just accept that. Oklahoma at home, Friday night, 1.5-point favorite. Alabama actually minus 105 to win the game, even though they're a 1.5-point dog. The total is only 40.5. Vegas knows that this game is going to be ugly. It's going to be gross. It's going to be not safe for work at times. It might be two idiots throwing rocks at each other, but it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to see what the crowd is like in Norman. Mick, Oklahoma's a 1.5-point favorite on BetMGM. Who you got?
Let me double check. I still think I'm going to roll with Alabama. I think I trust Kalen DeBoer in these big spots with what he did at Washington and what he's kind of done in the Georgia games he's played at Alabama, because otherwise they've kind of been let down, aside from the SEC championship as well. But like these regular season Georgia games, he's had his team ready. They constantly won in these big spots at Washington. So I think I'll trust him, considering like they have the offense to actually go kind of score points and potentially like name the number they want to get to. I don't think Oklahoma can really decide how many points they want. They're kind of just hoping that they can get to double digits and maybe approach 20, because that's just how their offense runs at this point. Well, it doesn't really run. That's how their offense winging their prayers their way through games at this point. So I'll still lean through it with Alabama for this Friday night matchup.
So Oklahoma beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, but had an 85-yard pick six and I think 2 field goals of longer than 50 yards to do it. That's not sustainable at all. And Alabama should win this game, which is exactly why I'm taking Oklahoma to win this game. The first result made absolutely no sense in Tuscaloosa. This result is at home for Oklahoma. It's a more familiar environment. John Mateer and his offensive coordinator just had 3 weeks to dial something up, and they haven't been good. But John Mateer also now had 3 weeks to help continue to heal himself when he rushed back from a thumb injury. I think there's some things that will be schemed up. Alabama's only had 2 weeks to prepare. Oklahoma's had 3. Alabama's not healthy. LT Overton, I don't think, is playing. I question the health of Ty Simpson. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma. I think their defensive line is so good. And I honestly think Oklahoma is going to potentially, I won't give a pick away just yet. If Oklahoma beats Alabama, I think Oklahoma might get to the semifinal, because I think that could be one of those snowball that keeps building. So that's, we'll just leave it there. But the winner of this game goes to Pasadena to play Indiana in the Rose Bowl. So just keep that in mind. You'll get to see the Hoosiers against one of these teams. It's going to be a lot of fun. Friday night's going to be awesome. I'm going to be dialed in. Got some Christmas shopping to do beforehand, but I think I'm going to try to speed run through that so I can get home and watch this defensive battle. Also, I think I'm going to take the over. No, I'm gonna roll with the under. I'm gonna roll with the under. It's only 40.5. I don't care. I'm gonna roll with the under, and that'll be a nice Friday night sweat for me. I could use a little bit more sweat in my life, Mick. And then we get to the main event, which is who in the heck is going to play Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl? It could be Miami. It could be Texas A&M. We're going to find out at noon on ABC on Saturday. A&M is a 3.5-point favorite. The total is 48.5. I think that's pretty low, but our friends in the desert build skyscrapers. They don't live in shacks, which tells me that they know what they're talking about. Mick, A&M, 3.5-point home favorite, noon on Saturday. Who you got?
I'm taking the Canes. I don't love the fact that I'm riding with Mario Cristobal as head coach because I think he makes some silly decisions or some very silly decisions at times. And I don't like the fact that I have to ride with Carson Beck as my quarterback with this pick either. But I think Ruben Bain's special. I think Malachi Tony's special. And I think Francis Mano and this Miami offensive line can move some bodies and get some things done. You and I watched in our colleague Jeremy Birmingham's basement a couple of weeks ago or before the Michigan game. We watched the Texas A&M game, and I really just can't get out of my head what I saw there because when Texas A&M ran up against an opponent that felt like a like-for-like talent comparison or a like-for-like talent profile, they kind of got ran through with that Texas team, and I think Miami can do a lot of similar things as what Texas did to them. So I don't love Mario Cristobal as a head coach, and I think there's some questions about the people that will have the ball in their hands on Saturday afternoon, but I still like Miami as my pick in this game.
Okay. I'm on the other side. I'm going A&M. Not because I think you're stupid, Mick. I just don't trust Mario. And so neither of these secondaries really impress me. South Carolina hit big play after big play on A&M, and A&M was lucky to win that game, coming back from all the way down from 30-3. Miami has had trouble with its secondary. It's athletic, but I don't know if it's truly special in the secondary. I think big plays are going to be pretty easy to come by here with Malachi Tony on one side, with Casey Concepcion on the other. Those slot receivers in this game are awesome, and you'll be watching both those guys on Sundays in the future in the slot. So put me down for the over. I think A&M is going to win this game 34-27, which means it's a one-score game. And if you give me somebody against Mario Cristobal, if you gave me Mick Walker against Mario Cristobal in a one-score game in the fourth quarter, I'm taking Mick Walker. So I'll trust Mike Elko to get a stop with his defense, and I will trust A&M to be more dynamic under Marcel Reed with that offense than I will with Carson Beck and that offense, and I think it will set up a very cool Cotton Bowl quarterfinal between Ohio State and Texas A&M. I think that game will be really fun.
I don't trust Marcel Reed either. Plain and simple, I don't really trust him in a big spot. So that's another reason the Packers in my pick. But regardless, whoever wins this game, like you said, it'll be fascinating to see Ohio State take on what should is one of the top. Both these teams have top 5 talented rosters, and probably in college football, if not top 10, top 10-ish. So it'll just be a fun, interesting game when whoever they play in Dallas.
Yeah. If I can avoid watching Carson Beck play football, I want to do that, especially in person. So Lettermen Row will be in full force down at the Cotton Bowl either way. And, I will cover Ohio State, Miami. I think it would be fun to relive some of that 2002 stuff and see the fans go back and forth on social media about it, because I'm sure the name Glenn Sharp will come up a lot. But Carson Beck throwing into the Matt Patricia defense sounds like a disaster for Miami. So I'm going to just say A&M and think A&M. My early leaning on this game was Miami. So I've switched and went to A&M. So I'm going to pick A&M again. I think it's going to be a really fun game between the Aggies and the Buckeyes if that does come to fruition. Whoever wins that game, we're going to have a rapid reaction at lettermenrow.com. We're going to make sure that we break it all down, who the Buckeyes are going to be playing, what the matchups are, things like that. If it's Miami, we'll talk about Carson Beck against this defense. We'll talk about Keem Mesidor and Ruben Bain against the Ohio State offensive line. We'll talk about Jeremiah Smith going against a team that almost flipped him in his recruitment. We'll talk about all of that on Saturday. If it's A&M, We'll talk about some of the offensive linemen that Ohio State lost to A&M on the recruiting trail for. We'll talk about the pass rush from A&M against this Ohio State offensive line. We'll have a full breakdown. Whoever wins that game, we will break it down on Saturday evening right here on the Lettermen Row YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get notified when that video becomes live. Then you can hear our first thoughts on either A&M or Miami. For Mick Walker, I'm just Spencer Holbrook. Those were the picks. We're in agreement on a lot. We're in disagreement on some. The 2 blowouts we kind of agree on. The 2 other games, a little bit of disagreement. Tell us what you think in the comments. Who's going to win these games? Who are the Buckeyes going to face in the Cotton Bowl quarterfinal? For Mick Walker, I'm just Spencer Holbrook. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys over at lettermenrow.com.